Hey everyone, it's Showtime Moto Talk here for our first video covering Monster Energy AMA Supercross. Tampa this Saturday marks the start of the 250 East Coast Championship, and we're going to be looking at some of the big names and contenders to watch in this stacked field, as well as some of the interesting storylines to follow throughout the 250 East Coast season. The first rider to discuss in the 250 class is RJ Hampshire. RJ won the West Coast Championship last year, but was unable to line up at A1 this year to defend his title due to a wrist injury. Coming into the East Coast Championship with this lingering wrist injury, it'll be interesting to see how he does in the early rounds and whether he builds as the season goes on. RJ always shows a lot of raw speed and is very quick through the whoops, but has had a history of injuries and crashes. If RJ is able to keep it on two wheels in the East Coast Championship, don't be surprised if he's a major contender for the title. The next rider to discuss is Tom Vial. Tom won the East Coast Championship last year and is looking to defend his title. Last year he was able to win the championship over the likes of Haiden and Deegan by being very consistent. Tom usually has really good starts in Supercross, so look for him to start up near the front in a lot of these races. He's had a pretty quiet off season, but last year he seemed to struggle a little bit in the whoops. So it'll be interesting to see if that was one of the main focuses of his off season. And it'll be interesting to see where he stacks up amongst this stack class. Next is Pro Circuit Kawasaki rider Levi Kitchen. Levi planned to race the West Coast Championship this year but had to withdraw due to illness. He seemed to be in good spirits at the press conference, so hopefully he's coming into Tampa at 100%. Last year, Levi had great starts on the Kawasaki and showed good speed in his battle with RJ Hampshire for the West Coast Championship. It'll be interesting to see how Levi is able to build on his breakout Supercross season last year and whether he's going to be a major contender for this championship. Next is the rider coming into the East Coast Championship with probably the most amount of question marks. This offseason, Austin Forkner switched to Triumph Racing and will be making his debut for the team in Tampa. Austin has been a Supercross Championship contender for a while, but crashes and injuries have largely derailed his title hopes. I wouldn't be surprised if Austin Forkner comes out in Tampa and is the fastest guy on the track, but it may also take some time for him to get used to the new bike and race conditions. Next, we'll be looking at two newcomers to Star Racing Yamaha making their debuts for the team in Tampa, first of which is Pierce Brown. Pierce has showed some promise with some good results in the past, especially his win in the last round of the SMX playoffs, but bad starts and a lack of consistency have hindered his Supercross success. It'll be interesting to see on his new team whether he's able to take that next step and consistently fight for race wins. Like Pierce Brown, Max Anstie struggled to get good starts last year and lacked consistency. A bike failure at one of the rounds also derailed his championship hopes. It'll be interesting to see on his new team and new bike whether Max Anstie is able to become more consistent to put his bike on the podium more often to become a championship contender in 2025. Star Racing Yamaha's Nate Thrasher is a previous race winner who has shown good speed in the past, but crashes and injuries have hindered his championship hopes. If he is able to keep it on two wheels, he should be in contention for race wins, but his championship hopes will depend on him staying healthy this season. This leads us into discussing Pro Circuit Kawasaki teammates Cameron McAdoo and Seth Hamaker. Both these riders have shown good speed in that they are top 5 riders who have the potential to be title contenders. However, both have been plagued by crashes and injuries throughout their Supercross careers. If both are able to stay healthy, we could see them challenging for podiums each weekend. Honda HRC's Chance Hymas had a great outdoor season where he showed he's one of the top motocross riders in the world. However, his Supercross potential is relatively unknown at this point. He has said that he has not spent much time on the bike riding Supercross this off-season due to recovering from an injury. Look for a chance to start slow and look to build throughout the East Coast Series. Next are 3 riders that will be interesting to follow during the 250 East Coast Series. The first of which is Star Racing Yamaha's Daxton Bennick. Bennick had a very successful amateur career and start to his Supercross career, but has struggled to find consistency in Supercross since. It would be interesting to see his Supercross development from this offseason and whether he can become a consistent top 5 rider or podium rider in the pro class. Next is former Star Racing Yamaha's Nick Romano. Like Bennick, Romano had success in amateur racing, but injuries seemed to derail his transition to pro racing. Romano joined Phoenix Racing Honda this offseason and it'll be interesting to see how he builds off last season where he was able to stay healthy and get quite a few pro gate drops. Lastly is former Pro Circuit Kawasaki's Max Vohland. Max showed potential last year for Pro Circuit before suffering an injury. This offseason he joined the Club Max Yamaha team and appears to still be dealing with lingering effects from his injury as he's using a handbrake for his rear brake. It'll be interesting to see how he does on his new team and battling back from injury this season. That wraps up episode 1 of Showtime Moto Talk. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like or a comment on the video and subscribing. Thanks.